Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, welcome to Baltimore Something Live. The host, Dr. Q, co-host is me, Aaron Green. I just got the message. Okay, so start the monologue. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good night to all. It's Wild Card Wednesday. Let's get things started. Today's monologue I'm doing, we'll be doing the monologue of the Black History Month. So it'll be gossip, and also right after that, we'll know your rights and what's new in Baltimore, and what's going to future shows and my final thoughts. But right now, let's talk about what's going on with this stress ball we call the Earth, this little tiny city we call Baltimore. In such beauty, there is certain areas, there's certain people that wants to mess it up. I was doing my runs with doing my run around the park. Today I live around the park, and one of my neighbors came up to me, and me and him were talking about these robberies that are going on around the area. People sometimes are not. People sometimes they're scared to interfere or not be so much. What you call that word? Frightened I don't want to get involved in everything else. And me and my neighbor were talking about how people get paralyzed in fear when talk about no stitching rule, or you talk about, these cowards that walk around think that they have power, but they don't have power. And it puzzles me when you talk about this no snitching rule, this weirdo-esque type of cowardism that we have in our society. When somebody tells on you, they get blamed for it. You tell somebody, you tell them no, you tell them because you don't want them around anymore. When you tell a person you don't want them around, you don't want them to be near your area, you don't want them to be around your people, not only the kids, not only everything else. But people get so frightened and scared of their lives. One person came up to me, and he's always just said to me, he said, you know what, we should do a neighborhood watch. Remember neighborhood watches, back in the day when people just gather around with their flashlights and their little life jackets and went around the city. Of course, around that block, of course, somebody have to spoil it by having a gun and shooting, as questions later, but without shooting, without the thing. You have pepper spray, but what it is very useless. It's very useless to just, I don't say it's very useless. It's a very good idea to have, neighborhood watches come around and patrol the area. You do it way back in the day. Now everybody is now scared of this stuff because of the paralyzing fear of these little gangs and these little punk criminals that think they know everything about Baltimore and think they control everybody else, but they can't. We're in a society where the president is being called out for so many things, but now you just tiptoe around it and go around the corner saying that, well, he did this, he did that. Well, you should stop it before the other thing. You waited and waited to not stop this guy, and then have to just now. Not later on, but now. It's gets on my nerves and frustration how people just sit there and let things linger on until they find the right moment to do it, and catch the person, but not sit here and just basically just caught the person the first time he said something, the first time he did something, just get him down. When somebody did that, the other person gets caught. You caught him right now, but the other person did it, you don't caught the other person. It's very weird how society works and how society tends to the weak versus the weaker, or vice versa, as they say. I'll look to see. Dr. Q is in. Say hello to everybody, Dr. Q. Okay. And as of now, hearing about the president, right now I know there is an interview that's going on with Biden, and the bringing up, and I hate when people bring up old stuff about what people do. We're in a culture right now where the internet is now the biggest enemy of all time. We're in a era when the internet basically can just pull up something and point fingers at it. So you said this, you said that. There is an old internet clip of Biden and David Letterman, and now they're doing David Letterman too as well. They pull up the old clip of him and Lindsay Lohan, where basically he scolded Lindsay Lohan for taking drugs and doing all these mishaps. This interview was an old interview way back in the day when we were vice presidents, and they were talking about girls and talking about the old days during the infamous time he went with the Clintons and how one of their laws got out of hand. The prison reform law. And people know prison reform law was basically funded by him and the Clintons a long time ago, to Hillary Clinton's words at old interview she did for a documentary, and get out of hand. Too many pots in the kitchen, too many cooks in the kitchen, and nobody doesn't know what to do with some of these criminals on and off the streets. And there's people still to the day are talking to him about that. Of course, he ran around the subject and talk about gun reform and talk about how he stand up to a couple of bullies, with guns way back in the day when he was young. And he said that basically, nobody should have guns. Nobody should have the right to carry guns if they use them for a good use or use them for hunting. Not to use them for threatening people, not using them for other things else. Basically, pull up the old interview when you still had it, if you're not taken down. And about our culture, we doing this cancel culture thing when we just silence people that have freedom of speech, have a right to not speak their minds. And we basically, right now, prison people to shut them up and basically will not speak their minds on what they need to speak their minds of. When people said about, Trump, he gets persecuted. When people said about this thing, they get persecuted. People said about the Holocaust, they get persecuted. When people said about this thing, they get persecuted. And the internet just basically doesn't let go as a whole, as people doing what they need to do to speak their minds. It's very interesting how we get to point the finger at people that speak their minds and give them shame for that. I thought it's freedom of speech, but sometimes freedom of speech tends to get overrun when people just say what they want to say, but now we're in this very soft and delicate format when people just basically want to say what they want to say just because they're saying the wrong things. Some people that say the right things get what they want. But others, when you say the right things, they get the finger and wave of the hand. It's very shocking to see how people just tend to speak their minds freely, wherever it is, and people get so much to just not responsibility for what they say and what they need to say and what they're going to say involves of social media, everything else of it. I remember one of my friends who started doing social media posted a picture of the Holocaust. Of course, he got taken down, got flagged, had to written up a statement, and have to basically, apologize profusely. And we're in a world of everybody just want to basically score